it's time for us to start talking about the 1960s comic book icons. This list was long, and I'll tell you more about it once we finish this video. So with that said, let's go into another episode of it. And you know what? I don't have it. Where is it? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah, you like that? That's gonna get updated really soon. I'm gonna do a new video soon because it's gonna be more of a comic book spotlight. But we're gonna be doing the 1960s comic book icons. These are the icons that all made a debut within the 60s. Okay, so some of them became famous afterwards and things like that. However, their debut happened in the 60s. Cliff, this list was insane.
I think it's because the Marvel era took place then. I feel like that shift and the shift to the cartoons, all of that was coming in a wave in the 60s.
Honestly, dude, it was like when I started doing the research and I started gathering what characters came out in the 60s. You're right. It was predominantly Marvel characters. There was some DC characters as well as some indie characters, and during this time, indies it's not exactly the same thing as how we would identify indies today, because they really weren't indies at the time. They were all part of that same thing.
I don't know about you, but I think it was all that weed.
Well, it was
the 60s.
It was the 60s. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and a lot of it had to do with that too. So not just weed, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, baby boomers started it all. You got it. All right, Guilty Corgan. What's up? Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this, but you know how it rolls. We gotta do our honorable mentions, right? So when we do our honorable mentions, we're gonna start off with a couple of characters that didn't quite make the list. Now, like I said, there was a lot. In fact, if I wanted to, I could make a second list, but I'm not going to make a second list. These people were the ones that just didn't quite make it. All right. First one, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. All right. She's iconic for so many reasons. She's not part of the superhero lore, but she was like one of the second greatest Archie characters outside of the Archie universe itself. So what can you tell me about Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Were you a fan of the TV show growing up?
I enjoyed the TV show. I enjoyed the thrilling adventures of Sabrina even more, you know, and I enjoyed her resurrection on Riverdale. I loved all of it. I was very
happy. They're doing comic books with Sabrina, and they're very adult. Yeah. They're not like these.
Well, they're doing a lot of adult Archie stories in general, so it's all happening.
Yeah, so that's one of our honorable mentions. Another one is I put them together because they're all part of the Charlton characters, and that's The Question, created by Steve Ditko, and of course Peacemaker. Now with Peacemaker, he's become popular today, right? In the last, I would say, last 5. When did Suicide Squad?
5 to 10 years. So let's just put it around.
I would say around 5 years. But to me, it was about The Question more than anything. The Question was a creation from Steve Ditko that was very much who he was, right? Also, when it comes to the Charlton characters and as a whole, you have to look at it from the perspective of they were the prototype for what we are going to get in The Watchmen in the 80s by Alan Moore. So The Question was really the prototype for Rorschach. Peacemaker was the prototype for the comedian. Some people don't know that, but DC took ownership of those characters, but did not want Alan Moore to utilize those characters. So what Alan Moore did is that he made different versions of them, but we all know who it was. It's pretty obvious who they were. Nightshade, Sil Spectre, Captain Atom was also Dr. Manhattan, and so forth. What can you tell me about The Question and Peacemaker?
I don't know too much about. Well, I was gonna say I don't know about their old school origins. other than the question, always hit his face. Was a great detective. He got a lot more comic book screen time in the 52-week 52.
Yeah,
where he ends up dying and gives the mantle of the question to
Renee Montoya.
Renee Montoya, who was with Batwoman at the time, which was my favorite couple. And then they had to do all this other stuff with Batwoman. Okay, I still love them.
Yeah. And I think with the question in general, one of the things about the question that's very interesting, if you ever look up the history of the question, is he was very much the ideals of Steve Ditko. And Steve Ditko also created a character that followed that was very similar in nature as well to the question. That was his own creation, where the question ended up going, was a Charlton character, and then eventually DC took him. He was very how do I put it? His method of thinking, you know what I mean, was very, I don't even know how to describe it. There's a term for it and it was very controversial even at the time, and to the point of how Steve Ditko looked at life and things like that. And the question was a reflection of that. Right? Dead Man. Who doesn't love Dead Man? I love Dead Man. Dead Man is such a cool character to me. Boston Brand is a character who was a circus performer, if I'm not mistaken, right? Circus Daredevil, and created by Neil Adams. And he died. And after he died, that's why he's called Dead Man. He's actually dead. He dies, and he had to solve his own murder.
Yeah.
But
mystical entity Ramakrishna.
Yeah.
His spirit, the power to return to Earth as a ghost.
Exactly. And he returns as a ghost, and he's able to possess humans' bodies, which I always enjoy when he possesses the body of like another superhero. Like I know he did for Batman.
Yep.
More recently in what was that crossover event that we just had about 2 years ago? It's 2 years now. Wow. Yeah. Tate, to your point, exactly. Very noir in his approach with it. So, oh my goodness, what was the name of that? What was the name of that 4-issue?
Was it Absolute? No, was it Absolute Power?
No, it was before Absolute. So if you remember they had covers that were very psychedelic as well.
Oh, that was Night Terrors.
Night Terrors, which I enjoyed. I really enjoyed that, and he was like a big part of that story. So that was pretty cool. It was good to see, Dead Men back. And finally, we have Dr. Solar.
And Magnus Robot Fighter.
There were two characters from Gold Key, which eventually became Valiant characters in the 90s. Very sci-fi driven. So Magnus Robot Fighter was set in the year 3000, if I'm not mistaken. I never really read these books. I have my share of Valiant's books, which features them. But they were very sci-fi driven because it was a bit of the, it was man to the moon storyline. So we had a lot of that going on. So they were very sci-fi driven. What I always loved was Magnus's uniform, man. I don't know what was going on. And so he was the inspiration behind that one character in The Simpsons, wasn't he?
Futurama.
Yeah. No, it was Futurama. It wasn't The Simpsons.
Yeah, it was Futurama. Yeah, because he had the skirt shorts.
The little skirt thing.
Yeah.
So those are your honorable mentions. Are you surprised that these are honorable mentions? Like, you would have put them in the top 25? Because we're doing 25 characters.
I might have moved some of them up, but this is not as upsetting as the Sabretooth situation.
I'm willing to bet it's Dead Man you would have probably put up.
You might be correct.
All right. Dead Man is, if anything, to me, Dead Man's 26. That's how I look at Dead Man.
Let's see your 25.
Let's see. Again, when we do these lists, they're not in an order of who's the most important. They're in chronological order, so I don't do a countdown. I just give you who they are. So our first character who first debuted in the 60s is a character by the name of Sinestro. All right. Sinestro made his debut in Green Lantern issue number 7 back in 1961. Apparently, there wasn't any character created in 1960s that mattered. For DC Comics, the highest sale of his book is $7,170 in August of 2013. The last sale of this book was at a no grade for $228. Raws on average are $255 in good grade, while graded copies on the fair market values of 4.5 at 529. There's currently 1,128 copies in the census. And of course, Sinestro is Green Lantern's greatest villain. I personally love Sinestro because he started out as a hero, and then he looked at life a lot differently, and that he eventually becomes a villain. So that's what I personally love about Sinestro. What can you tell me about Sinestro?
I mean, he became a Green Lantern. He had the willpower, but then I don't know how to say this like gently, but he went to his home world and then like kind of gave them, like, he kind of turned the Green Lantern symbol into a bit of a swastika on that planet. I feel like that's the correct assumption.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he became a fascist. It became like a fascist.
Oh yeah, he had a fascist state.
Yeah. So with Sinestro, what was interesting about Sinestro, as you do more history, Jeff John was able to take the character who, for a long time, was like, for a long time in the 70s and the 80s, he was like a twirly mustache type villain, to the point that they made him look like a twirly mustache villain, especially in the Challenge of the Super Friends, where his color was yellow, but he had a blue suit, which I never got that. Never got it. Never understood.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, when they switched him to a gold and yellow like black suit, I was like, this makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, and it looks great. I love that the yellow became the color of fear, and it fits for his character. And I'm sad because he was the one good thing in that Green Lantern movie. Like, if you tell me the name of the actor is, I know his last name is Strong, but I can't remember his first name.
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong. If you tell me Mark Strong is returning as Sinestro, I'll be like, yeah, I'm in. I'm good. I'm down. You know what I mean? All right.
And Mark Strong was also Sivana.
Yeah, did they not find any other actors or something like that?
Listen, I don't know. Well, considering they felt that Green Lantern was not a success, they were like, "Well, we're gonna just reboot all this again anyway, so let's do it." And now we're on the third DCU reboot. Here we are.
So Tape Prime, we are not doing a countdown. This is not a countdown. So will the X-Men make the list? There's some things that are probably more obvious than others. Wow, this guy showed up all late. Jerk. Anyway, moving on. Love you, Bo. All right, let's go to our next group, and that is the Fantastic Four. One of the things I also am going to emphasize now that this image is here, I'm only going to do first appearances of teams that are their first appearance. All right, so the Avengers are not making this list
because they all made first appearances outside.
Exactly. So when the team is actually individuals that are part of it. So Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic, and yes, I'm calling her Invisible Girl because that was her original name, but now she's been upgraded to Invisible Woman. Damn right, as per John Byrne. Human Torch and the Thing, they all made their first appearance in, of course, Fantastic Four #1 in 1961 from Marvel Comics. The high sale of this book was at a 9.6 in September of 2024, and it sold for $2.04 million. The last sale of this book was at a 5.0 at 22,000 in February of 2026. Raws go for $2,449 in a fair condition, while 3.0s is the fair market value at graded at $8,700. There's currently 3,213 copies in the census. As I mentioned, this is the first appearance and origin of the Fantastic Four, even though they do not show up in costume in this first issue.
No, it's like issue 3.
Three.
Yeah,
It's
issue
issue
3.
three. All right. It's also the very first Marvel comic in the sense that it was formerly Time Atlas. There is Marvel Comics, but keep that in mind. That was the title of the book that would eventually become Marvel Comics. It's also the first appearance of Mole Man, so we got to give Mole Man a little bit of love as well. Overall, this is the book that kicked it all off for Marvel.
Right. This is the book. This is the birth of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. So this is the start, the start of everything else. But it's amazing to me that you could get this book below $5,000 at a decent grade. Fair is good.
Fair is good.
You know what I mean? And a 3.0 for $8,000, not too shabby. No, I mean, not money that I currently have, but
not too many of us are going to be pulling that one out of our pockets, but not terrible.
Yeah. So that's Fantastic Four number 1, 1961. Let's take a look at our next icon. And of course, it's got to be the Green Goliath himself, Incredible Hulk. Another iconic character. In fact, for a very long time, he was considered one of the, there was Spider-Man, and Incredible Hulk came in a very close second. For some people, he was even bigger than Spider-Man for a certain time frame. He made his debut in Incredible Hulk number 1. This came out in 1962 for Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of 825,000. That's interesting to me at a 9.2, and that was in January 2024. Last sale of this book was $8,540 at a 1.5. The Raws goes for $3,675 again as a fair. However, the grade at 3.0 is the fair market value, $12,630. There's currently 2,289 copies in the census. This is the first appearance and origin of Hulk, Bruce Banner, Betty Ross, Rick Jones, and General Thunderbolt Ross.
Beautiful.
Many people don't know that this was a limited series. Did you know that?
I did not. Oh, yeah. Really? It was supposed to be a limited series?
It was a limited series. It wasn't labeled as a limited series, but if you really look back, there's only 5 issues. And then it went to Tales to Astonish, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? So there was a time frame that was it was very much a test the waters type of thing with the Incredible Hulk. And as you can see by the image here, he was originally gray. For those of you who don't know, the Hulk first was gray. It wasn't until issue 2 that they turned him into the Green Goliath that we now know and love. So the gray Hulk was the original color, but because of printing issues, they decided to change it to green. It was easier to do the green because in print, it just looked terrible. Bo, you're too much.
Well, actually, so what I had heard was it was too hard to print gray because it required you to use white ink, which was much more difficult to produce back then.
It was a mixing issue. So that's why comic books were 4 colors, right? And they will find ways to mix the colors within the printing press that served it as being a little more challenging. And the gray made it extremely, it had to be extremely challenging because from the first issue, they made the change in the second issue. They were like, no, this looks terrible. And it did look terrible. If you look at the pages, if you ever grab a reprint copy and you see the pages, you could see how bad it was. That the gray was just sometimes was a little too dark. So it didn't really encapsulate his facial expressions and things like that. And that's what was going on with it. So they immediately went with the green, which made it so much easier. And it popped out a lot more than the gray itself. But we did get the gray back with Peter David in the 80s, which also led to Todd McFarlane doing some Incredible Hulk as well. So he managed to do that. What's going on? Stephen White is in the house. How you doing, Steve? All right.
Steve, the voice, White.
The voice. All right, let's go to our next book in our list here, and that's going to go to Doom. Right? So when it came to this list, there's not as many villains as they are more heroes. But if you got to come up with like the top of the top, the best of the best, when it comes to villains, no one beats Doom. And if you don't know, he made his debut in Fantastic Four issue number 5 in 1962 for Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $180,000 at a 9.2, and that was September of 2022. Last sale of this book was $5,351 at a 4.0. Raws are going for $1,044 at a fair, while graded copies are going for $4,985 at a 3.5. Last census count was 2,602. Doom, man, this is one of those books that, yeah, that price tag's going up very, very soon.
Probably, unless that movie turns out to be trash. Time will tell.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're putting all their eggs in the basket for this one.
They might, but that can go one. That can still go one of two ways.
It could go one of many ways, but from what I'm hearing right now, there's a lot of optimism from people that know what's going on. All right.
Let me tell you something about people that know what's going on. They have been wrong before.
Quite possible, but I'm still not a fan of Robert Downey Jr. in the role. Not so much that Robert Downey Jr. is in the role of Dr. Doom, is that, let's be honest, Tony Stark is in the role of Dr. Doom, which that bothers me. That bothers me so much.
The whole thing bothers me because I feel like they're like, oh no, we're drowning in hot water. Get Robert back. Get Robert back.
Well, that's exactly what it was. And let's get Steve back. Let's get Chris Evans back too. You know what I mean? All they need now is call Scarlett Johansson. It's like, yeah, you want to come back from the dead?
Yeah.
That's all they're gonna need, because they're gonna put the original team back together because they know no one else can handle it. You know what I mean? So, and yeah, to your point, DVH, I agree. It feels a little weird that the 4.0 is that cheap. I think we're at the calm before the storm moment right now. That's what I believe. But I will give it this much. Remember, these books, the low grades are what they are, but the market's starting to push upwards. You know, with the sale, the Golden Age sales that we're seeing, it actually could push the Silver Age books more higher. So I think that 180 is going to be matched somewhere. It's going to get higher. That's my personal thought. And I do think that we're going to start seeing $10,000 sales of this book. But that was my research. All right. Next one is The Mighty Thor. He made his debut in Journey into Mystery 83. This book came out in 1962 for Marvel Comics. High sale of this book is $432,000 and a 9.4. That was back in April of 2022. The last sale of this book, check this out. Last recorded sale that I found was $2,500 and a 0.5. I want to know how beat up that book was.
I hope the cover looked great.
I hope there is a cover. Let's be honest with you. The raws are going for $1,336 at a fair. Graded is $6,367 at a 4.0. There's currently 2,660 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of Thor, as well as his human form, or his, earthly form, as Donald Blake. So we get a nice little story with Thor. We'll see someone else in very, very soon. This is one of those books that, it's iconic, but sometimes it's kind of lost amongst the other books, I think, if that makes sense. Not in price, but
I don't know. I think people think of this. I mean, like Iron Man, Cap, and Thor have solidified their
of course,
their place, and I'm pretty sure people still think of this often.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's Journey into Mystery, which is the book that he originally takes over. It eventually becomes the Thor comic book. So this is the rare occasion where the comic book turns into the comic book he debuts in turns into his book. So they decide to make the change. Journey into Mystery was your typical monster book of the month book. And then when they went to 83, they just said, you know what, we're going to go here. We're going towards this direction. And then moving forward, all the books with Thor books. And it wasn't until the 70s that they changed it to the Mighty Thor, and they changed the title. And for a long time, it was Journey into Mysteries with including the Mighty Thor, something like that. That was the title of the book for a long time. So fun stuff. And it's a Kirby, man. I love Kirby covers. And it's not as his other Kirby covers where you see the, in your face, but I do like the way he did it. And I love that one monster. His foot is up in the air, man. And that one monster actually looks like the one that's jumping off of the spaceship. He looks a little bit like Amiibo.
I like the one that's with the foot in the air. It's like the hammer caught him.
It's just the wind of the hammer.
Yeah, just the wind of the hammer just got him.
Like, yeah, but he does look a little bit like Amiibo. Yeah,
I mean, a little bit of a handsome resemblance.
Here we go. The icon, the franchise, the king of them all when it comes to the superheroes of the Silver Age, the one, the only, the Amazing Spider-Man. You know what book it is. Go ahead. Tell the world, Cliff.
Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Number 15 came out in 1962 in Marvel Comics. The high sale of this book was $3.6 million and a 9.6, and that was in September of 2021. Last sale of this book was $10,800 and a 0.5. 0.5, you spend $10,000.
That feels desperate. I hope it was a good looking 0.5.
I hope so too.
There are good looking 0.5s. Let's be clear. Like
it could be a missing page. It could be
a missing page. It could be that the whole book isn't even together. It's just pressed together into the slab.
Now keep in mind a few things. Let me get back to the stats, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. $11,461 at a fair is the raw price. However, 2.5 is the average for the graded books, and that's going for $18,600. The census count is actually pretty high. 4,124 copies in the census. Of course, this is the first appearance of Spider-Man Peter Parker. It's also the first appearance of Aunt May. It's also the first appearance and death of Uncle Ben. We get to learn a little bit more about his universe in the other book known as Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah. This is a classic, man. This is the book that most people want to have in their collection one day. I know I would. Whew, what I'd give to put that book right in the back wall right here, just have it right there to have everyone see it. I love it. It's a phenomenal cover. I love this cover. Like, you can't beat this cover. That's how good this cover is. And doesn't that guy kind of look a little bit like Jack Kirby that he's holding?
A little, I guess.
There's a little Jack Kirby in there as well. But it is, from my understanding, it's a Kirby and Ditko cover. That's what I've been told.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, so it's because Kirby didn't really get the character the way Ditko got the character. Kirby's version of Spider-Man was really strong. And, Stan Lee's approach was, no, we don't want to do that. Oh, look, congratulations, Ralph. He has a coverless AS-15. That's pretty cool. So that makes me think about this. So Rattlesnake has a coverless AF-15. If you were to get just the front page, would you put it together? Frankenstein, in other words.
Of course, why not?
Regardless, so you'll get like a restored or what's that?
I'll just tell them. What do you call it? I'll be like, yo, I would just like whatever. I'll be like, give me the blue label. Just figure it out.
So Tate Prime is saying that there is one on eBay for $10,800. That's chip has a lot of marble chipping, but still nice. Mm-hmm. Kirby characters use PED. They do. Nice. All right, let's go to our next book. And that's going to go to Loki. All right. The God of Mischief. I personally love the villain Loki, and I love how his character has evolved in the MCU, but I still absolutely love the villain Loki. He made his debut only 2 issues later in Journey into Mysteries 85, also 1962. His book has a high sale of 90,000 at a 9.6, and that was in June of 2025 of last year. $1,000 at a 3.0 was the last sale that was recorded. Raw went for $721 at a good, and that's the average fair market value. 1,400 at a 2.4, and there's currently 1,992 copies in the census. Not only is this the first appearance of Loki, there's also the first appearance of Heimdall. It's the first appearance that we get to see Asgard. There is a cameo from Odin, so it's technically his first appearance. And it's also the first appearance of Balder. So this is like a super key. But of course, everybody talks about that Loki cover.
I mean, 1,000 for the 3.0 is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So you gotta save $1,000 to get a 3.0?
I mean, I mean, it's not the top of my list. I'm just saying it's not bad. I mean, like if it were in front of me and I had the money.
Well, $720 isn't so bad either for this kind of book.
No, it's not. But like, having it already slabbed for $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right. Moving on to our next character here, and that's Iron Man, Tony Stark himself. He made his debut not in a Tony Stark book, but in Tales of Suspense, issue number 39, also in 1962. There's something in the air in 1962, Cliff. For Marvel Comics, this has a high sale of $840,000 and 9.8. That is remarkable to me. April 2024. Last sale of this book was $1,700 at a 0.5. The Raw goes for $1,262 at a fair, $5,942 at a 3.5. There's currently 3,033 copies in the census.
I'm surprised there's that many, but that's great.
Yeah. Well, this is more of a common book in comparison to other books. In fact, I was at Terrific Con this year with Lunch Money Comics. So I was with Mike with Lunch Money Comics, and they were selling this book, and we were present, and he was able to get the book at about I think he got it from about 3,000. A really nice copy too. So,
I was pretty sure because I was there too. I'm pretty sure
I was there though. I was there when the sale was made.
I was pretty sure he was trying not to publicize what he paid. You heard it here.
No, I think he did. But then again, it's a comic. You know what the price of a comic book is. But he was able to get a really good, solid deal from it.
He got a very good deal because Homeboy almost didn't want to give it up.
Well, it took a lot of talking. Like, I'm just saying, someone had to do some talking. But I'm really happy he was able to get a copy, so that's pretty cool. Dale, I need that book. There's a lot of books we need. Let's go to our next icon, and that is Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. His is a very, very interesting one. For those of you who don't know, he made his first appearance in Strange Tales 110, so that makes sense. He made his first appearance in Strange Tales, right? He's not in the cover. Came out in 1962 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $150,000 at 9.6, also in April of 2024. Last sale of this book was $1,175 at a 3.0. Raw goes for $1,579 very good.
We get Doctor Strange, Ancient One, Wong, Nightmare, Dreamstalker. That's a whole lot you get in this book.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, Paste Pop Pete.
Oh yeah. Paste Pop Pete, future trapster.
This is one of those books that, Doctor Strange and Strange Tales, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
However, he's not in the cover.
I mean, those were the days.
He was a secondary character. No, he's nowhere found in the cover. Nowhere. And then he eventually takes over the book. So, but it is important to note that Doctor Strange was a co-creation of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. So where it's not a Kirby situation, it's more of a Ditko situation. And Steve Ditko was the co-creator of Doctor Strange. So I don't know if that has something to do with why he's not in the cover. I don't know. But I do believe that is a Ditko cover.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. And Doctor Strange is a very interesting guy. And they both do this, if you know, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
Well, Spider-Man,
but it was always doing. There was some symbolism involved in that, from what I remember. So it was definitely Ditko doing some symbolism.
It was easy for them to repeat the drawing. That's what I'm thinking.
A little bit of that too. All right, let's get to our next book here. The Doom Patrol. Yep, that's right. We got a DC book. Doom Patrol Chief, Negative Man, Elastigirl, and a Robot Man. They made their first appearance in a little book called My Greatest Adventure, issue number 80. This came out in 1963 for DC Comics, a high sale of $3,107 at 9.0. That was in August of 2016. That was a while ago now. Prime. Last sale of this book was $875 at a 7.5. The difference between DC and Marvel at this time is crazy when you think about it. Raws are going for $258 at a very good. Graders are going for $476 at 5.0. This has a very low census count. It's not even 100. It's not even 800. 763 copies in the census, and this is the first appearance of the Doom Patrol.
Very good. I mean, you know, you could swing it. You could swing it for 7.5.
Yeah. This is a surprisingly very affordable key.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to Silver Age, but that is the difference between DC books and Marvel books at this time. All right.
No, yeah, totally.
Now, remember what I told you. This is a chronological order. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the X-Men aren't here yet.
So there is some controversy behind it. Here's my honest opinion. They talk to each other. They share their ideas with each other. Somehow they started thinking the same way.
Sure.
Doom Patrol and the X-Men are surprisingly similar to each other, but they are very much different from each other as well. I don't know. But there is some discussion. Did Stan Lee steal the idea? I think he borrowed parts of the idea. I don't think he stole the idea.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Borrowed. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the idea of the wheelchair guy, the fact that they were different. But besides that, I can't think of much similarities. You know what I mean? So
yeah, pretty much that's it.
Let's get to them. Let's get to the X-Men. So we got X-Men, and let's not forget Magneto as well, Professor X. They all made their appearance just about a month later with X-Men #1 that came out in 1963 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $872,000 at a 9.6, and that was September of 2022. Last sale of this book was $4.8 thousand at a 4.0. Raws goes for about $830 at a fair, while the graded copies goes for $6,000 at a 3.5. There's currently 6,860 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of Cyclops, Beast, Angel, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Professor X, which will be the X-Men, and their arch enemy, Magneto.
7 first appearances, baby. 7 first appearances.
Mm-hmm. There's septuplic. I don't know how to call it. So I have to say, I love the X-Men. I absolutely love the X-Men. And yeah, to that point, I think they were influenced by each other. I don't think they rightly stole from each other, but they were definitely influenced from each other. Yeah. I love you too, Tate. Good seeing you, bro. So,
Can I say,
tell me about the beauty of the X-Men and what the X-Men mean, especially at this time. Why were they created?
Well, I mean, at that time, it was just like because they're different and how we treat different people. And it's the 60s and
63.
civil rights movements are happening everywhere, 63. So, I mean, like, it's funny because, like, they are and aren't all these things, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy because they really do symbolize the outcast in every form, and there's something to be said that when you are growing up different, period, like you grew up different in a family that's different, and that family is like, you got to be better, you got to be twice as good as the next guy out there for you to succeed. That kind of thing. And then here Professor X kind of embodies that with, like, I swear to protect the people who would destroy us. We're going to protect mankind.
Yeah. And, as a lot of people talked about, it was during the time of the civil rights movement. So tension was high in 63 because this came right in the heart of all that, right? All this happened, JFK assassination, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. All of this is happening around this time. So the X-Men are a reflection of that. Right? They themselves not being of color, because again, they didn't come to that point just yet. We're going to get there very soon. But they were that example, right? They were meant to be that example within a comic books. How can we share something that are ideals within a comic book? So it's very politically based in that way without going overly into it, if that makes sense, right? And again, you got to look at Jack Kirby's influence on this book as well. So Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, the ideology behind it is amazing, to the point that at that time they were all about discrimination, but then as time progresses, they kept that thematic thing alive within the new X-Men, right? So giant size X-Men with the diversity side of things. Obviously, when it comes to sexual orientation and everything of that nature, they literally became the minorities in every scenario. And I think that's one of the lasting effects of the X-Men today. So in the 60s, they started here. It died down, of course, in the early 70s. And we returned back to its glories in the late 70s with Claremont, then later John Byrne, and moving forward with the rest. So I am a huge X-Men fan. I've always been an X-Men fan. They were my comic book in the 80s. I love reading X-Men, Spider-Man. Those were my two books back when I was a kid. So they had to be in the list. So I don't know. I know Tate had to leave, but Tate, X-Men are here.
They are. Sobriety test.
Speaking of X-Men, we got some more mutants, or shall we call them miracles? Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they made their debut just a few issues later in X-Men number 4. This book came out in 1964 from Marvel Comics. We have a high sale of $26,290 and 9.8, and that was back in July 2012. So it's been a long time since this book had a high sale. $815 at a 2.0 was the last sale of this book. This book's raw goes for about $1,150. Very good. 1.2 thousand at 4.0. And there's 3,890 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, Toad, and Mastermind. But let's be honest, it's about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. They're the icons here.
They are.
They are fun secondary characters.
They have been mutants, not secondary. She is the Scarlet Witch, and
I'm talking about. I said the other ones, bro. Relax.
Oh, yeah, those people. And then, like,
I didn't say Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I said the other ones.
Right, those other guys, Mastermind, Toad. Yeah, we see you.
I love Toad, man. I don't give Toad some love, man.
It's hard because Like he's fun, and then it went from fun to the big joke.
You know, when they read it online, when they read it on the script, they thought it was brilliant. And then it just did not translate well. So
No, it did not.
celebrating 33 months. Wow. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Here's the funny thing about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which I always thought. All right. Oh, look, Dales of Suspense has renewed his membership. Thank you so much. All right. Celebrating 1 month. Woohoo! They were the two characters that were able to get out of being part of the mutants, right? When they went to the Avengers on Avengers issue 16, I always remember Avengers 16 because it was like a casting, right? They were hiring new Hawkeye was getting a new team together and stuff like that. And then Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver ended up joining the team as a result of that. So they escaped being part of the mutants and being part of the X-Men for a very long time. I can't even remember when they finally brought them back into the mutant world. Because they were very separated for that long time. They did them dirty in the Ultimate Universe, though.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, that was what the hell was that? A Jeff Loeb idea, turning them into a loving pair, or was that a
you mean the incestuous relationship? I think a lot of people
like Jeff Loeb.
No, I think a lot of people always toyed with that idea, like, oh, haha, they're gypsies. They're so close. Because really, they were inseparable for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I think Jeff Loeb is like, hey, this is the Ultimate Universe. Let's go for it. Which, look, he rolled the dice, and I get it. And people were like, oh no. But when she was checking out robots, when they went to
yeah, she's always had like
that was funny.
She always had some situation, man. Like Scarlet Witch in general, man, her choices of men were very interesting. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Of course, when you deal with Scarlet Witch, you have to deal with the fact that she does go through emotional stress, trauma in her life. So there's a lot of trauma when it comes to it. What Quicksilver is just a jerk sometimes, you know what I mean?
Well, because being a speedster, he wants stuff to get done.
Yeah. So there's your icons there. Let's go to our next group. Speaking of which, Black Widow. We're going to look at Natasha Romanoff. She made her debut in Tales of Suspense issue number 52. This is 1964 for Marvel Comics. We have a high sale of $28,800 and 9.4. That was in March of 2023. Last sale was $361 at a very good. $412 for a very good. Raw is the average. Fair market value. $489 at a 4.0 is the graded fair market value. 2,440 copies in the census. We got ourselves our first appearance of the Black Widow, the gorgeous new menace of the Black Widow. Check out that outfit, man. She strutted.
Yeah, well, that's when she was full-blown villain, a full-blown villain, and also it's like, I'm sorry,
she had the little veil on too.
I'm like, you're supposed to be a super spy. What are you wearing?
It was a James Bond era, man. What do you expect?
I
mean, like a Bond girl.
I know, but it's outrageous.
No, it was the 60s.
Okay.
It was the 60s. She's one of those characters that's endured and went through so many different types of changes to the point that we got now. Because if I remember the short hair version, remember the short hair version of Black Widow that she was in Daredevil a lot?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, well, that was a whole other time. Boy, those were some thirsty men. Right in that series.
Mm-hmm. And it is interesting how these books have dropped in value, but it has everything to do with the MCU effect, right? She's gone. Will she come back? Yeah, I'm sure she will. They'll pay Scarlett Johansson some good money to come back. She'll be in Secret Wars. I almost guarantee it. I'm 95% sure she'll be in Secret Wars.
And I'm sitting here like, yep, we'll see. We will see.
We'll see, right?
See
right.
what happens. I'm just saying that's an awfully large mess that they're gonna be slopping up.
What about Daredevil? Speaking of which, right? He made his debut in his own comic book, Daredevil #1 in 1964 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $250,000 at 9.8. That was in March of 2021. Last sale of this book was $1,236 at a no grade. $569 in fair is the raw fair market value, while the graded fair market value is $2,365 at a 4.0. Excuse me. This has a lot of copies. 7,057 copies in the census. First appearance of Daredevil Matt Murdock. First appearance of Karen Page. First appearance of Foggy Nelson. And they were so concerned that this book wasn't going to sell that they put Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four in the cover just to ensure that this book could sell.
I mean, right? I was gonna say they're like, just in case, Spidey's got to be on there.
Yeah,
and and it wasn't even like they don't meet for several issues. It's like from the people who brought you Spider-Man, this is Daredevil.
Well, yeah, it's exactly. It says it just like this. Remember when we introduced Spider-Man? I'm trying to do my best Stan Lee in this moment, right? A worthy companion magazine to such all-time greats as the Fantastic Four. In this issue, you will meet the most unusual hero of all, Matt Murdock, fun-loving Foggy Nelson, and gorgeous Karen Page. I love it. I love when comics do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know what? Daredevil has, first and foremost, what was he thinking with this outfit?
Well, it is a blind man designing it, so we could start there.
But he understood yellow and red?
Maybe it was just all the fabric he had access to. It wasn't like he was a rich lawyer.
But he understood that it was a vest.
Yes.
Right? He got the vest. And isn't this now the costume for D-Man? Very similar now, right?
Yeah. Well, no, D-Man found this outfit and just started wearing it.
Oh man, so much fun. I love this book. This is a good book. Another very affordable key. Yeah, and it's a Wallace Wood cover, in fact. He preferred to be called Wallace. He actually did not like the term Wally. So a lot of people didn't know that too.
Well, probably because, what Wally means in France. Look at Green Goblin showing up here. Look at that.
Green Goblin makes the list. Norman Osborn himself. He made his debut in Amazing Spider-Man 14, 1964 from Marvel Comics. We have a high sale of $210,000 at a 9.8 September 2021. Last sale of this book, believe it or not, was a no grade for $20.
I kind of love that.
Just the thought that this book sold for $20. I'm certain it was probably like a page or something, right? Because it's a no grade. Raw sale, raw fair market value is $858 at a good, while the fair market value for graded books is $1,571 at 4.0. There's 5,918 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of Green Goblin. However, we do not know it's Norman Osborn until much later. So I don't even think they even reveal the fact that he's Norman Osborn, which I dig a lot when it comes to this character, to the point that you didn't make the connection just yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're sorely missing in comic books these days. You know what I mean?
Right. They worked the mystery and did not overwork the mystery.
Well, they didn't do this thing where they both debuted at the same time. Like, oh, this new character, Norman Osborn, shows up, right? And by the way, there's this new villain, Green Goblin, right? It could have been just coincidental that both characters showed up in the same book, but it always gives you that thought process of, oh, they both show up in the same book. We don't get Norman until much later. So here is simply Green Goblin, and then we get Norman, which I think is best way of doing it because that takes off the scent of the thought. And I think that's what's so great. And again, it's another great Steve Ditko cover.
And the reveal is just so horrifying for Spidey too.
Yeah, it's a good reveal. And dare I say, Green Goblin is one of these villains that really, he knew how to get to Spidey. You know what I mean? He knew how to get to Spidey in the most craziest way. But at the same time, there was also this respect for him when he was Norman, right? So Norman respects Peter, but he hates Spider-Man, which I think, which is so cool in this storyline. I don't know what's going on with that. His little rocket there.
Well, it was the first. It was a prototype.
Yeah, something, right?
Also we know he was a little crazy. Also, I mean, the throttle may have given him a little thrill.
Okay,
given him a thrill.
Yeah, maybe, quite possible. Just throwing that out there. All right. Speaking of really cool characters, Hawkeye makes the list. Clint Barton himself. He made his debut in Tales of Suspense, issue number 57, just a couple of issues after the first appearance of Black Widow in 1964 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of 102,000 in a 9.8. That was in June of 2022. Last sale of this book was $450 at a 4.0. The raws go for $319 and very good. The graded copies go for $545 at a 5.0. 3,054 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of Clint Barton. But really what's more interesting to me, it's also an appearance of Black Widow. So you could tell right from the beginning, they always had that connection with each other. And in this comic book, Hawkeye was originally a villain who turned into a hero.
Yeah, as with Black Widow too.
Yeah. I think Black Widow was more of a villain till then she became a hero. I think in Hawkeye's case, he was a misunderstood villain, if I remember.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure every time the two of them have chit chat about it, they're like, when we were criminals
in Budapest.
Yeah. When we were straight up lovers at that time.
Yeah.
I
love Hawkeye. He's one of my, and that costume, man, I'm so mad that we didn't get the actual costume. I wanted that. I wanted to see that mask. I know it would have looked silly and stuff like that, but I wanted to see that mask. Just, that's how I feel.
I get it.
Our next character is Zatanna. She makes the list for obvious reasons, of course. She made her debut in the one book that when I saw this, I was like, really? Really? It was Hawkman issue number 4. Came out in 1963 for DC Comics. This has a high sale of $20,000 at a 9.6 in September of 2021. Last sale of this book was $272 at a 2.5. Ross goes for $286 at very good. $511 at a 5.0. There's currently 1,992 copies in the census. Did you know she made her first appearance in Hawkman?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And again, she's not on the cover. Back in the day, they're like, let's just throw somebody in.
She's not in the cover. Is she part of the Hawkman story, though?
She's the backup story. And let me tell you this. What issue is her father's first appearance?
He goes way back to, isn't it Action Comics?
Which one?
One.
It is Action 1. Yes, very good. Yeah. We don't see him on the cover either. He's just in there.
Let's be honest, it's very different. That was very different. But this is one of those. Really? She didn't make the cover?
No, because come on, it's 63. That could still happen.
With what she was wearing? She should have made the cover. I bet you the book would have sold better.
They were pervy back then, but I don't know that they were thinking so much.
I would have like, let's just put her right here. She should be the one falling from the sky. I'm just saying.
Again, she was new. What did they know?
This book will never tell you this is her first appearance.
No, you gotta know. You gotta know.
Yeah, that's why the price of this book is so low. I dare say it's criminally low.
Yeah. Now, I believe DC Superstars of Magic Giant is her first cover. I think that's her first cover.
Yeah.
And that one's pretty cool.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's go to our next character, and that's a double. Silver Surfer and Galactus. They made their first appearance in Fantastic Four issue 48 for 1966 for Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $108,000 at 9.8. That was in June of 2021. You're starting to see a little pattern here in June. June had a lot of sales. June of 2021 was a big time for comic sales. Last sale was $2,834 and an 8.0. Raws go for $930, very good. $684 at a 4.5. This is probably one of the highest runs census counts than from all of these books. 10,822 copies in the census. This is the first appearance of Silver Surfer, but it's also the first cameo of Galactus.
Yes.
All right. This is interesting to me. Now, I do know a few years ago, probably about 2 years ago, they uncovered in a warehouse, I think it was in a warehouse, a lot of copies of this book, original copies of the first issue. So that's why the census count has boosted up. But to think, this is a book that many people want to have in their collection. It's just one of those books. It's classic, right?
Yeah, and if you can get a good deal, jump on it.
Yeah, exactly. This is one, but I think the one that I personally, if I wanted one, this is cool because it does say it's the coming of Galactus. You have this, this feeling of, oh my goodness, something bad's gonna happen, but it's not till we get to this one, and that's Fantastic Four 49 that came out in 1966 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale, $192,000, and yes, it's a 9.9 in November of 2022. There is a 9.9 of this book. Would you believe that? Last sale of this book is $385 at a 4.0. Raws go for $379, very good, while the graded copies go for $4,858 at a 4.5. This also has a bit of a high census count at 7,416. This is the first appearance of Galactus, and this is also the first cover appearance of Silver Surfer. Dare I say, it's the better of the two, in my opinion.
I mean, it's definitely better looking, right?
Yeah,
definitely better. And it's an action, and I love an action-packed cover, and that's an action-packed cover.
Oh, this is Kirby at his best.
Yeah.
This is Kirby at his best, in my opinion. Like, everything about it is just amazing to me. He nothing's wrong in this image. Nothing. You know what I mean? From the coloring, from the way they're running away from him, the way Surfer is right there. To me, this is the best of the trilogy, right? Because it's a trilogy. Even though I think 50 is kind of like it just like you get this impact from 48 and 49, and then 50 kind of just like, you know what I mean? Like Johnny Storm goes to college.
Yes, but you do get a beautiful picture of Surfer on the cover.
You do get it, but you also get it in the brown background as well, which is kind of like, ugh. That brown is not, it's not enticing. Like, where did it come up with the brown?
I mean, it was probably to make, back then, it was probably to make Silver Surfer pop more on the cover.
Just put it black, man. He's white, dude.
Look,
I'm just
they had a lot going on back then. I'm not going to judge. I don't know their resources.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a look at our next icon, and that goes to Poison Ivy, Pamela Isley herself. She makes the list, and it's the other 181 that everybody talks about, and that's Batman 181. It came out in 1966 for DC Comics. We have a high sale of $96,000 and 9.8. That was in August of 2023. Last sale of this book was $1,100. $1,100. 6.5 it was. The raws go for $429. The graded copy is $387 at a 4.0. There's currently 4,551 copies in the census. I always dig this cover, man. This cover just makes me it makes me smile. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it's got great contrast. You know, we got that bright red. Her shadow is perfectly cast in the background. She looks like she's ready to fight Batman and Robin. You know, not just show up and look leggy.
Well, it's so funny because, you know, dare I say, Batman and Robin is a terrible movie.
Right.
Terrible movie.
Yet.
But yet, if you look at this cover, you now know where the concept idea came from.
Yes.
Where they're like, no, she's mine. No, she's mine. She loves me. I love it. Charlie Green giant vibes. Oh, you know it. That you got some Peter Pan vibes. She's in charge. She could wear whatever she wants to wear, man. That's how it is with Pamela Izzy. So all there, man. But this is a cool book. You know, again, another book that's under $500 that you could probably pick up. It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I've seen this book a few times for good prices too. All right, let's go to our next icon. That's T'Challa,
yes,
the Black Panther himself. He made his debut in Fantastic Four 52 in 1966. This has a high sale of $83,650 and 9.8. That was in February of 2016. Last sale of this book was $850 at 6.5. Raw goes for $322 at very good, while the graded copies are $808 at 6.5. There's currently 8,324 copies in the census. His first appearance of Black Panther, the King of Wakanda.
I mean, it's great. I would love to score myself a decent mid-grade copy.
This book has seen some drops lately, of course. But I think it's going to rise up again. It's just one of those books that it's iconic. We have our first Black hero in comics that, you know, that what was so great about it is that, you know what, he was a king. He wasn't like some jive turkey, you know, that they would do. They did have to throw in the word black, even though I think most Panthers are black already. So I don't think you need to say that. But dare I say, the term Black Panther seems to roll out the tongue a little bit better than just calling him the Panther.
That is very true.
Yeah, and quite possibly the term the Panther was already out there. Someone probably named him already. So we had to just come up with the Black Panther. It would have been funny if they would have called him the Blue Panther.
Oh, my.
Changes everything, doesn't it?
Well, I was like, just thinking about the Pink Panther alone is already upsetting.
And the Pink Panther came out around the same time too.
Yeah. So like, no, we can't have this.
All right, let's go to our next book here. And that's going to go to Blue Beetle Ted Kord himself. He makes the list. He made his debut in Captain Atom 83, 1966 from Charlton Comics. High sale of this book is $7,200 and 9.8. That was in November of 2023. Last sale of this book, believe it or not, $129 at a fine. Raws goes for $76 at a very good. Graded copies 250 at 7.0. But look at that census count. 584 copies in the census.
Wow.
This book is so cheap that if I see this book at this price, I'm buying it.
I mean, yeah, 76 for very good, 129 for a fine. I mean, yeah.
Like, I saw this and I was amazed by this. Like, Blue Beetle is iconic, especially for the Charlton characters. He's the biggest character of the Charlton characters, in my opinion. You know, obviously with Peacemaker now taking front and center, but even then, Peacemaker before John Cena, no one cared about Peacemaker. Nobody cared about Peacemaker. The Question, very close.
Yep.
But I think Blue Beetle, and this is a Silver Age version of Blue Beetle. This is not the first Blue Beetle. But Ted Kord is very important to this whole world with the Charlton characters. Yeah. I think we will get Ted Kord sooner or later.
Well, it depends on if our Blue Beetle story from the Blue Beetle movie sticks in this DCU.
So if you remember from that movie, which I love, I actually do love that movie. I like that movie a lot. The Blue Beetle movie is so disconnected from the DCU, the DC extended universe, that you could say it was part of the DCU.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to explain it. You know what I mean? You could just say, no, he was always in this universe. And chances are he is going to do that, because they are going to bring back Blue Beetle, but in animated form, from what I know. And that would mean we're going to get our Ted Cord.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's definitely been confirmed. All right. Our next character, Barbara Gordon herself, Batgirl. All right. Excuse me, guys. I need a drink. Give me 1 second while I get a drink, because I've been texting them to bring me something. Now you have a drink. Give the world some love, Cliff. I'll be back.
Give the world some love. I love all you folks, especially thinking about this weekend, just how much all of you mean to me, and how special this community really is to myself and to so many other people. And I guess I could start with that. Also, I got a wedding coming up next week, and it's driving me crazy. Grizzlebees, thank you. Thank you. I love these guys. Still upset how they treated Ted Cord. They messed him up in the Great Beetle Gold partnership. They go back and forth. They go back and forth on that. Garth is here too.
Yeah, I needed something.
There you go.
Have you ever met Ralph?
Which Ralph?
Empathetic.
No, I don't think. Wait, have we? No.
It's quite possible.
It's possible. I don't think so.
Bitten apple.
Then I don't think so.
All right. So where were we? Okay, Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, right?
Batgirl.
Gotta love the Batgirl. She made her debut in 1966 for DC Comics at Detective Comics 359. Her high sales, $132,000, 9.8. That was in January 2021. Last sale of this book is $1,250 at a 7.0. Raw goes for $371, very good. While graded copies you get for about $452 at a 4.5. The CGC census count is 3,862. This is such a cool comic. This is such a cool cover. Now, was she in response to the Batman TV series? I don't know, because she came out at the same time as the TV series.
I feel like it was we're just doing this.
Mm-hmm. And then she finally makes the TV series about a year later.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. So maybe they knew something. It's quite possible.
Oh, we met at Terrificon. I met Ralph at Terrificon. Yes. Yes. There we go.
And TVH, finally a book I own. So don't feel you know what? I'll give it to you, man. I did see that. I did see the book, and I'm happy. DVH, let me know which grade was it. What's the grade you got for the book again? So, but this is such a great color. The colors in this book, I was gonna say, very interesting choice of purple or maroon or whatever color it is you're doing here.
Purple, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool, especially the way you see it's kind of gray. It's grainy, so it's not like the solid color. It's grainy in that way. But this is a great cover. Is she heroine or villainess? What is her startling secret identity? The $1 million debut of Batgirl.
Boy, they were predicting big with that $1 million debut.
Well, keep in mind, they say her name twice. Meet the new Batgirl.
Yes.
The $1 million debut of Batgirl.
Yes.
Did I mention Batgirl?
Yep. Well, I think because they really wanted to hit a home run. This ain't that trash that we were throwing at you because we didn't want Batman and Robin to be gay. This is Batgirl. This is the Batgirl.
This is the Batgirl. And she don't got no purse. She got a satchel.
That's right. She got utility. She got a satchel. She's got utility belt spots. She's ready.
You know it. Let's see. Technically, we got geek talk. Technically, Barbara Gordon's modern Batgirl is Batgirl Betty Kane, who first appeared in Batman 139 in 1961. Thank you so much for the information, JSS.
That's why I was saying, it's Batgirl. Remember, we said Batgirl, not that trash Batgirl, this Batgirl.
She was just a prototype. She ain't the real thing.
I know,
this is the real thing.
I mean, she's still around. She's Batwoman's niece. She's Flamebird in the West Coast Titans. She's all these things.
She's done a lot of things in her time.
She has.
She has done a lot of things in her time, but she'll always be Batgirl to me.
There you go. Wait, no, I'm talking about the other Batgirl.
Oh, I don't care about the other Batgirl.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, she's doing all the things. This one's the one putting down the work.
All right. We talked about this, so he made the list. Kingpin Wilson Fisk. He was one of those borderline guys, right? But he made the list. He made his debut in an iconic book, Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 50, 1967 from Marvel Comics. This has a high sale of $99,000 and 9.8, and that was in November of 2022. Last sale of this book was $380 at a no grade. Another no grade. Interesting. Raws goes for $490 at a very good, while a graded copy you can get for $623 at a 4.5. There's currently 8,651 copies in the census. Now, first of all, this story is iconic, right? The Spider-Man No More story is a very iconic story, but I think Kingpin does get overshadowed in this story because of the story for Spider-Man. However, I think what makes Kingpin iconic, and this is where the argument comes from, and I don't think it's an argument we disagreed in, because there was some other characters that didn't quite make the list, I say. Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to why Kingpin is iconic is because he is the villain for not one, but 3 superheroes. Spider-Man first. He became the major villain for Daredevil, and he's also a key villain for Punisher. In fact, Punisher only has 2 villains because he kills them all. So, the 2 he can't kill is Kingpin and Jigsaw. And Kingpin is just a dominating figure, right? He's like a final boss type character. He's always he is the street level Thanos, in other words. So therefore he deserves this place, I would say.
Street level Thanos.
Why not? Isn't he?
Sure.
Come on, you gotta look at it from that perspective. He is the street level Thanos, in my view.
I mean, I wouldn't die on that hill, but I think it's a nice comparison.
He ain't cosmic.
He ain't cosmic.
He ain't cosmic.
I do think Tombstone is a little scarier, personally.
But Tombstone has a different motivational factor. You know what I mean?
That may be.
Kingpin is evil. You know what I mean? He's just straight up evil. But he's evil in such a weird way, right? And yes, he knows Rico Act inside. He knows how to get out of that. So therefore Kingpin makes the list. All right.
No. The guy with the lubricant salesman. It's all his fault. Look, all the evidence is there.
We're getting to I think we have one more after this one, and that's the Vision. Vision is such a cool character. He made his debut in 1968 in Avengers 57 from Marvel Comics in this classic John Buscema cover. This book has a high sale of $35,000 at a 9.8, and that was in April of 2022. $705 and 8.5 was the last sale of this book. Raw goes for $163, very good. $454 and a 7.0. 7,002 copies in the census. Behold the Vision.
Beautiful.
This is a great cover, but
it is a great cover.
It is a creation of a villain that we did not include in this list, and that's Ultron.
Ultron
didn't quite make it.
Ultron didn't quite. Okay, all right.
Well, Ultron had to come first, right, before Vision, because he's the creation.
I'm just saying, Ultron is a major Avengers villain to not make in the list.
He is.
I knew you were going to saber-tooth me at some point, and you saber-toothed me with Ultron.
I got to give some of the indie guys some love, man.
Do we? Must we?
Yeah.
You know, did
Sabrina.
Captain Adam need all that?
Captain Adam's not in the list.
We did Captain Adam.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did.
No,
yes,
we didn't. Guys in the chat, let them know that we didn't do
everything.
Captain Adam.
You did a Captain Adam.
We did an issue of Captain Adam.
Well, that's almost as good as included.
No, it was Blue Beetle's first appearance, not Captain Adam.
It was Blue Beetle's first appearance and a Captain Adam. But you did a 2-for-1 in there. You did a 2-for-1 in there, and now you're trying to squeeze a 2-for-1 out of this.
I didn't even mention Captain Adam.
Other than the issue, the number.
That's it.
All right. Okay.
Tell me about Vision. What makes Vision?
Oh my God, I love Vision. I love that Vision is an artificial life form and yet finds emotional intelligence in like trying to evolve, which leads to him turning against his creator, which is Ultron. You know, I love that his brainwaves are built off of Wonder Man's brainwaves, which we find out later, which explains things like his attraction to Wanda. I love the convoluted relationship of Scarlet Witch, and again, a synthetic male being. How she thought she got pregnant, I don't know. We all should have saw that coming a long time ago. That she magicked that. Yeah.
Yo, Jim Shooter's stories are insane, man.
They are insane. The man was
Avengers 200. If you guys have never read Avengers 200, read it. You will be blown away by that story.
Oh my God, that story is outrageous, and it's really bad. If you want to laugh at how something horrible something is, Avengers 200 is free.
Avengers 200 is words cannot describe how insane that book is. I think Izzy got you on this. DVH is on my side.
That was only on the Ultron thing, but okay, or the Blue Beetle Captain Adam thing.
Okay. One could win an Emmy playing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I think we've reached our final. And it's Vampirella. You know Vampirella had to make this list.
Yeah.
She had to make the list. And of course, she made her first appearance in Vampirella #1. This book came out right at the very tail end of the 60s in 1969 for Warren Publications. This book has a high sale of $78,000 and 9.8. That was January 2024. Last sale of this book was $2,395 at a 8.0. Raw goes for $717. Very good. The graded copies go for $2,310 8.0. There's 1,278 copies in the census. This features Vampirella in her first appearance and her cover. It's an iconic cover by Mr. Frank Frazetta. And as we talked about, he does have another image where she is not wearing her iconic outfit. And dare I say, she's not wearing anything else.
I believe she's facing the other direction.
No, she is not.
All right, but she does still have some kind of collar on.
I saw the image. I'll send you the link. All right. Tell me about Vampirella.
Actually, I can't tell you much. I was like, I don't know anybody who knows anything about her other than how she looks. You know? I mean, like, she's Vampirella. I know
she's a vampire. We know that much.
She's got nonstop crossovers. I remember the crossover with Shadowhawk, where she bit him, made him into a vampire, and therefore it cured his HIV. And then he went to that children's hospital because he figured he's just going to bite all these kids and make them vampires and cure them. And that was the ending of that series. Does anybody else remember that?
Didn't he die eventually?
Oh, no. In his continuity, he died. But in that crossover, you know.
DVH wants the link as well. I'll get you the link if you want to.
Then, as we know, Shadowhawk 2 came out.
Yeah. So let's get out of Shadowhawk. We're not talking about Shadowhawk. We're talking about Vampirella here. All right. Vampirella.
Oh, she got the cuff on her arm. She's got the cuff on her arm.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's looking at.
Well, I'm looking at it because I can. because I'm observant.
She's an alien, not technically a vampire, in my opinion. Okay.
He would be right. He would be right.
She is Vampirella. So
There we go.
And there you have it, guys. There is our list of the top icons from the 60s. I hope you enjoyed this list. It will be an article on Go Collect in the next couple of, I'll say in about a week or two, it'll be there. Right now, our casting call is in Go Collect as we speak. It actually came out on Sunday night. So it's been there for a couple of days now. So if you want to read that article.
Surprised.
What was that?
I was pleasantly surprised.
It was fun. It was fun doing it. When I sent it over to the editor, he was like, "Oh, this is cool." I was like, "We're gonna do more." So we'll definitely do more. What's next after this? We did the 60s.
Now come the 50s.
Are we gonna do the 50s? Because that's a little different. Where the 60s we have a bunch. Do we have as many in the 50s?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll just turn into a golden age thing. Maybe we'll see what happens.
We'll have to do the whole golden age.
Yeah, why not? Because 30. We're not going to do the 30s because everybody starts at 38.
True.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll get to it. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I could pull up 25 characters from the 50s.
And yet you had a cajillion characters for the 60s.
Dude, I'm telling you, if I could pull up that list right now, I would show it to you. It is insanity how many characters I ended up getting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more comic content. Check out these other videos for even more insight. And I'll see you at the next one. Excelsior.